Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Thursday. And okay, we are getting back into inferring. Yeah, remember that big word, inferring. And I kind of think it's pretty fun to infer. Okay, so what does it mean to infer? Do you remember from Tuesday? Making inferences, that's a big fancy word too, is almost like being a reading detective who has to solve a case, right? Where we have things in front of us and we're trying to get like what we know, what's the evidence and clues that's right in front of us, and we get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so the author, and a lot of times the author, right, the person who wrote the story, might not exactly say what's going on. I don't know if you remember on Tuesday when we saw that girl and she was sad because the ice cream dropped, right? But the author didn't say, this girl is sad because her ice cream fell. No, there was no words. The illustrator actually drew a picture and we kind of used what we knew, what the evidence was, and we kind of were like, we've been sad before if our ice cream were a fault. Yeah, so we think that's why she's sad, right? A lot of times the author's not going to exactly say it, right? So it's our job to use the evidence, what we already know, to make an inference or figure out basically what's going on, okay? So we use text plus schema, both fancy words, okay? Text meaning like what's in front of us, what's the evidence, what's the clues, right? What's in the picture. And then the schema is what we already know. What do we already know that's going on? Or maybe what we already know about a character and how they might be feeling in this situation, right? And we put it together and then we can make inferences. We can use words like I infer, or I think, or I believe, or maybe, or probably, or I predict, right? Now, I predict what I want to say is we're getting an idea of what's going on, not necessarily what's going to happen next, just what we're figuring out what's going on right now is usually for our making our inferences. Okay. So let's take a look again at pictures. Okay. I like learning inferences through pictures first. So right here, yikes. Okay. There's no words. Okay. What do you think happened? What do you think is going on here? Yeah. Yeah, look at the kid's face, okay? To me, okay, I'm looking at the evidence right in front of me, and he's like, oh, right? And I know like that playing maybe ball, maybe in the house or something, a ball could break a window. Like I know that already. I've seen it happen before. So this kid, what do you think happened? What do you think's going on? Yeah, I think maybe he was playing ball in the house and maybe he hit the window and now he feels really bad about it. Yeah. Have you ever broken something at home? Or maybe even in the classroom, but you ever broken something and like maybe your mom or your grandmom or your dad said, stop doing that. And maybe you didn't listen and then they were right and that thing broke. Yeah. I'm kind of feeling like that's what that kid's feeling. Yikes. Oh, how about this? What do you think's going on here? Huh. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe it's a family. Maybe they're making, oh, it kind of looks like chocolate chip cookies, right? Now, do you see their faces? They all seem pretty happy, right? Yeah, so I'm guessing maybe they wanted to do this together, right? It wasn't like the mom was like, "Hey, you better make cookies," and the kids were like, "Oh," right? Their faces would look different here, right? So what I think is going on is I think maybe this family is making cookies together. How do I know? Well, they have all the ingredients in front of them, and I can kind of see cookies on the pan, and I think they're making it together and like they're enjoying it, right? It's not like a chore or something that they maybe have to do, or even if they do have to do it, they're really still kind of happy about it, right? So I think that they're liking doing that. Do you remember our friend Trixie from Nuffle Bunny? I read it a little bit ago, but do you remember that Trixie couldn't really say like words correctly yet? Remember right here in this picture, she's like, "Aggle flaggle kablabble." Okay, you didn't know it then, but when we were reading the story, we were inferring of what Trixie was trying to say. The dad did a very bad job of inferring of what she was trying to say. A very, very bad job, right? Remember, he was like, "Oh, yeah, sure, Trixie. Okay, Trixie." And he was like, "Stop being fussy, Trixie." And all of a sudden, Trixie was like, "I have no choice." And she went limp, and then she cried, and then she screamed, right? Because he was not inferring what was the matter with her. Remember what was the matter? Yeah, she left Nuffle Bunny, right? She left Nuffle Bunny, or he did, in the wash. So she's like, I go, fly, go, go, week. And we're inferring that most likely she's saying, you got to go back. We left Nuffle Bunny. And then do you remember when they finally came home? The mom was super good at inferring, right? She immediately was like, where's Nuffle Bunny? Looking at the face right here. Okay. The Mo Williams is the offer here, and he's not saying like exactly what's going on here, right? They kind of just looked at the face here. What do you think the dad's feeling? Yikes, right? He's like, kind of maybe he's feeling like, I can't believe I forgot Nuffle Bunny at the laundromat. And looking at Trixie's eyes, right? Remember, Mo Willems isn't telling this. We can just kind of gather from our evidence by looking at their faces and what we schema, what we already know from the story of how Trixie was acting and how much she loved Nuffle Bunny. She's like, I was trying to tell you that the entire time home, but you didn't listen. You didn't infer, Dad. Right? Yeah, that's what's happening, right? She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so annoyed, right? And of course, Dad was like, oh, I just remembered. Mom's really good at inferring here. So that's just looking at pictures, okay? And sometimes that's pretty easy when I told you, sometimes inferring is easy and you didn't realize you've been doing it for a long time now, okay? But we take what's going on, right? And what we already know, and we figure out, yeah, that's exactly what could be going on. So now I am going to read you something, okay? And then we're going to watch a nice video. But I'm going to read you now. So there's no pictures. So our evidence is in the words, in the text, not necessarily in the pictures this time. So if you want, you can close your eyes. I'm going to read this, and you kind of have to envision what's going on, okay? Maybe where you think the women and the children are. Okay, so ready? All right. So we're going to infer here. Okay. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going on, but you're going to take a good guess by listening. So a woman finished reading a story and closed the book. Are you envisioning that? All right. Picture me. I closed the book. About 20 children got up from the carpet and went to a corner of the room. They began taking coats and hats off of a hook. After putting on their coats and hats, the children lined up. First, I have to ask you this. Where do you think the women and children are? School, yeah. And I think that woman's a teacher, right? And the children are the students, right? So where do you think the women and children are? School, right? Now, where do you think the children are getting ready for? Like, what are they getting ready for? Where are they going? Yeah, recess. How do you know that? Did it say that they're at school and they're getting ready for recess? No, but you use the clues and what you already know that kind of you would line up, you would get your coats and hats, right? I'm thinking maybe it's winter if they're getting hats, right? How do you know this? Well, they told us. They're getting their coats and hats and what you already know, your schema that you've been there before. And hey, if you're at home and you're like, we didn't do this year, you did it last year, right? Where you might have lined up for recess and you had to get your coat and you had to get in line, right? You had to be quiet, maybe put your quiet singles up, right? Yeah, so these kids and these teachers are at school getting ready for recess. Good job inferring. All right, we got another one before our video. Okay, so a boy asked his mom for help getting things off a shelf. She took down some jars and brushes, and the boy brought them to the kitchen table. Okay, so you got that right now? Okay, the boy asked the mom. The mom helped got him some jars and brushes, and they brought it to the kitchen table. All right, the kitchen table. Are we at school right now? Probably not, right? Maybe they're at home. Okay. Next, he went to his mother's desk and took out a blank sheet of paper. He put the piece of paper on the kitchen table. Finally, the boy filled a cup of water and sat down at the table with all these things. What is that boy going to do? What are they doing? Are they making cookies? Like that family? I don't think so. Let's infer here. Okay, what do you think? You think he's painting? Yeah, maybe painting a picture at home. Okay, all right. That's good inference, right? How do you know? What's your evidence? What's your schema here? They got jars, brushes, filled a cup with water. Do you know what the water would be for? Do I have a paintbrush? This is not a paintbrush, but pretend you got color on it and then you would dip it in water and she would be clean and you get another color. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking too, right? So the evidence is they got jars, brushes, they got a cup of water, a blank sheet of paper, and your schema, what you already know, you know that's what you need to paint, right? So I think that's a pretty good inference. I think we inferred pretty well here that this kid is getting ready to paint with his mom's help at home. right? Didn't really mention anything about school. It was like a kitchen table at home. Good job. Air high five for inferring. Okay. Now, let's watch this video. Remember, it's kind of like, do you remember the birds from Tuesday? They were kind of angry. And then that goofy bird came, right? And we kind of knew the whole story, what was going on without even being told because we were so good at inferring. We're going to do that again today, okay? So this one is about birds again. I think they're called sandpipers. So I think this is just called piper. That's the only word you're really going to see except for the credits.